Hey everybody, Josh Sheridan here with the Barely Legal Podcast. On today's show, I have Eddie Reyes. Eddie is a colleague of mine. He shares office space with me. He's a personal injury attorney, and he has quite a history in the Tampa Bay area. He's worn many hats in his life and had many unique experiences. So I'm excited to have him on the show today to talk about those. Hey, Eddie, how are you doing?
Good, good. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate that.
Well, I've been meaning to get you over here, but you're a busy man.
Try to stay busy.
Yeah, so Eddie Reyes, your law firm, you've been in practice now for what, two?
Yeah, just over little over 2 years.
And what's the official name of the firm?
The official name, Law Office of Edward J. Reyes, PA.
Okay.
But the DBA is the Reyes firm, easier to remember.
Right. And so this is not a first or even probably a second career for you. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, I've had different businesses in the past, for sure.
So where were you born originally?
I was actually born in Hoboken, New Jersey.
You're from New Jersey. I had no idea.
Yeah, New Jersey, yeah. Came when I was younger, and then I grew up in kind of like town and country. I
Okay.
guess I guess it wasn't town and country just yet. I would just say Egypt Lake, and then I moved to town and country. That's where I grew up most of my life.
And how is it that you made it from Hoboken to Tampa?
Well, my mom, smart mom. My dad wasn't the best dad,
Okay.
so therefore my mom made the executive decision to save some money while they were together and get the hell out of Dodge.
And how old were you?
I was 2 years old.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
From my mom, it's only me. However, I got 3 brothers and 3 sisters.
Did you grow up in a household with them, or did you?
Well, when I was 9 years old, I grew up with my brother Frankie, Robert, and Lori, but primarily with my brother Frankie.
And you're younger than them?
I'm the middle. Frankie's the youngest.
Okay. Okay. And then you've been in the Tampa Bay area ever since?
Yeah, so I lived in Tampa for a long time, and then back in 2004, I bought a house in Riverview, and because the market was great at the time, and that was before the drop, and then my idea was to go to Riverview, buy the house, sell the house, move back to Tampa, but
Right.
that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who don't know Eddie, like I know Eddie, he is one of the hardest working men in the practice of law. He's got a
appreciate that.
work ethic that is unrivaled in my experience. I have the opportunity to see what time he gets here and what time he leaves every night. And he burns the midnight oil, and he's able to get his staff to do it too, which is
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
rare. But I've seen in the kind of evolution of your career, you've been able to apply what I assume are lessons that you learned in other areas to running a law firm. So prior to going to law school, what are some of the other businesses that you were involved in?
Well, when I was 21, maybe 21, I opened up a doctor's office, and I had that for 13 years. I bought a gym, a pit bull gym, and I had that for a couple of years. And then I sold the clinic, sold the doctor's office. I had a small real estate agency, realizing you can't rely on other people for your success sometimes. And so that didn't go as planned. And then I opened up a marketing company while I was at USF. And I sold ads to doctors and attorneys. And I had that for a couple of years, did pretty well with that. And then when I went to law school, that changed life. That was substantially harder than I thought. And then the first semester, I didn't do anything. And then I reactivated my real estate broker's license that I had, and I sold real estate full time. And then right when I passed law school, right when I found out I passed the bar, I opened up my practice within the next day or two from passing the bar.
So you mentioned the doctor's office. This was it a pain management clinic?
Well, we did some pain management, but we only did that for a very short period of time, more personal injury.
So you had an experience with personal injury before you ever became an attorney.
Oh, for sure. I've been doing this for almost 20 years.
So it's fair to say that even though you're only 2 years licensed as an attorney, your experience in the area of personal injury is, over 2 decades.
Oh, literally helped thousands and thousands of clients.
And has your experience with the doctor's office helped you as a personal injury attorney?
Having the experience of owning a business has given me really, really good information because it helped because I've gone through the highs and I've gone through the lows and I've learned how to run a business. And once you have the fundamental concepts of running a business, you can apply it. But yeah, owning the doctor's office that primarily dealt with personal injury was very helpful because I can understand what clients are going through. I can understand how clinics work. I can understand how to negotiate better. I can understand when they're trying to pull the rug over you. So there's a lot of things that I was able to apply. Laws different, but there's a lot of things I was able to apply because I understand the mindset of our clients.
Well, I have to give you credit because when I first knew you, I think it was when you were doing marketing because you had it was not a pamphlet, but it was like a newspaper or something like that you were getting people to advertise in.
Yeah, actually, that was a pretty good idea. And I know you know what it was, an 8.5 by 11 text glossy, 10-page thing, like a brochure on steroids for the attorneys for free. And because I understand the way the business works, I knew attorneys, if somebody doesn't have a clinic to go to after a car accident, they refer to by where people live or where they work. So to make it convenient for that client, if they didn't have somebody, I made this book and the attorneys gave me their list of people they wanted in the book, essentially. And I just called them up and it was a no-brainer. They bought into the ad 1/6 of a page. I sold it for $1,025 per 1/6 of a page. So I would make $50,000-$60,000 per book.
Well, and that kind of brings me to the point that I wanted to make. So you started working here, I think it was just the very end of 2017 in the same building. And at that time, you were on my side of the office. So I got to kind of see you, on a daily basis and see what you're doing. And I promise I won't divulge any trade secrets. But right away, I was impressed with your acumen and understanding marketing, understanding social media, kind of tracking the metrics. You had your whiteboard on the wall, and you knew what time you were doing your posts and what posts were going where, and keeping track of it. And you had your online going, you had your offline going, and I was like, at 2017, I was 15 years into being an attorney, and I think I got kind of comfortable. I was kind of like, gotten to the point, and it happens with a lot of attorneys in their career, is once you've developed a certain volume of cases, it's to some degree self-sustaining. You can't rest on your laurels too much, but it's easy to become comfortable and not kind of actively market yourself. And, this podcast, I have to credit to you as much as anybody because it kind of recharged my batteries or kind of shook me out of my slumber and said, you gotta keep moving the ball. And not only that, you got to look outside of your lane, because I've had this conversation with some other people, and I think you might agree with me that one of the fatal flaws that attorneys have is that they look at what other attorneys are doing to figure out how to market. And if everybody's doing the same thing, you just have this big...
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing new. I mean, you're right. You're right about that. Exactly. Because...
So I've seen, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, you had your mornings with Reyes, I remember seeing you doing push-ups, or you're for a while there doing... What was the show with Brian?
That was the Sidewalk Chats. And that was fun for a while.
Yeah. But you really just, every day is something new. I've seen your videos, your offline stuff, and I mean, I see the traffic at the front door, and it's just nonstop from open to business at 8 p.m. till, I leave usually around 5:30, 6 p.m. and you still have people coming in then.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get into the numbers, but I have some knowledge of the caseload that you're carrying in personal injury. And I got to say, it's respectable. I've been doing this now for law for going on 20 years, but PI for going on 5 or 6. And man, you've created quite a book of clients already, and that's not something to be to look down upon. So that's pretty impressive. I wanted to talk to you a little bit, if I could, just about kind of your evolution, because I know that the Eddie Reyes that sits before me today is a pretty different Eddie Reyes than you might have stumbled across 15, 20 years ago. Is that true?
I would say go back a little bit farther, because my daughter is...
Well, how old are you?
I'm 40.
Okay.
My daughter is 22.
That's crazy.
So I would, because we had her in high school, and mother was 13, I would go back to 23 years.
Yeah, okay.
If we want to date it.
So what's that, 17, 16 years old?
Yeah,
Okay. And
yeah.
where were you going to school?
Leto.
Leto?
So if you anybody out
Well,
there
I've heard
knows
that about
Leto,
Leto, so maybe
yeah,
maybe you
so
were just doing what everybody was doing at Leto,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you had kind of a different path that you were on. Is that a fair
Oh,
statement?
yeah. I mean, when I was younger, I mean, growing up in town and country, your parents don't have phenomenal parents, but if they don't have the means, you have a lot of idle time. And idle time, when you're a teenager or preteen, it's not good for anybody, for society, for that matter. So a whole bunch of boys just bored get themselves in some trouble, some here and there.
Yeah, but nothing that the bar had any major issues with.
No, no, yeah,
Yeah.
nothing like that. Yeah,
Well, and I only say that because a number of my friends in law school, they had to, there was a couple of extra steps they had to take to get licensed. But anyway, so you've started the practice. You're here in Tampa Heights. Uh, obviously you're doing really well. Do you have plans on the horizon for growth for different offices for different areas of town that you cover for different practice areas, things like that?
well, my goal right now, we're signing up close to 300 clients a year. My goal is to be at a comfortable number of 500. It says comfortable.
500
Well,
five times a comfortable number. I mean,
and
it's always
yeah.
the quality of the case, but
Well,
it
and I'm actually doing much better at picking clients. The first year, I
took everything that
I
came to
took
the
everything
door.
that came through the door, and I realized that is not a great idea. So now I'm much better at selecting the clients, and I would like to have 500 clients that are selected that I think are a good fit between me and the client, of course. And eventually, maybe buy a building or something like that. It's not in my mindset at the moment, but
Good, I need the rent money.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the area I kind of like is the Palm River area because it's just more localized because they got Brand, they got Tampa, and you got Riverview. But I mean, the people that call me outside of my area, I meet them at Starbucks, I meet them at Panera, I meet them at McDonald's, whatever it takes.
Well, and the area that we're in right now, close enough to West Tampa, and with you, being a Latino and a highly, saturated environment here. I mean, I know that definitely helps. You and I both have a mutual friend, Brian Camarino,
Yeah.
who I worked with for a while doing personal injury, and man, there's a loyalty there that I have to imagine is a pretty powerful for you and your practice as well.
Well, it's like a double-edged sword.
It can't only be that, but it
Yeah,
definitely helps.
it,
Yeah.
it helps. There's definitely a loyalty. There's the double-edged sword because the same people that are loyal expect certain things, and sometimes you can't give them what they expect, and you have to turn them away.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, definitely you get some cases in the door, and your spidey senses start tingling right
Yes,
off the bat. That
yes,
I don't know that that's completely above board. So I don't know
yeah.
if that's something I'm willing to
Well,
participate
no,
in.
we turn. I mean, that happened more when I first started,
Yeah.
and I would turn them away. Now they don't ask, and if they go in that direction, or if I feel it's going that direction, I just said I'm not the right person for you.
So another thing that you've done well is you're really good at kind of establishing relationships with people, even if they're not immediately clients right up front. And it's kind of the long game or the long term investment. I know that you've done almost like a Reddit
Yeah.
on social media. Ask me any question, I'll answer it. If I don't know the answer, I'll get you to someone who has. And my impression has been, and I think you've even told me that goes a long way with people kind of feeling a connection to you, a loyalty with you, an investment that they, if they should have an issue down the road or know someone who does. Uh,
Yeah, well, no, that's true because every single day, even if I don't do it, I get questions every day. Like today, I got like 3 or 4 questions, but every day I get questions, random questions that has nothing to do with what I do. And normally, if I talk to them on the way to work, or I talk to them on the way home, or by social media, I'll send them a message throughout the day if I have some time. And it's just giving somebody just that 5 minutes that because they're in the tunnel. They can't see nothing because they're in the tunnel. And then you give an outside perspective. Most of the time it's common sense, honestly. But because they're so deep in the tunnel, they can't see the answer. So I think that when I give them that, those people are like super loyal, and they're the ones that are constantly tagging me on post and post and post and post and sharing me. Like today, I got 5 new clients just from people that I've helped in the past, like a year from ago, and they said, hey, these people got in a car accident, 3 from one person and 2 from another, they're coming on Monday because of that type of loyalty. But when they call me, a lot of times they're like, hey, bro, hey, man, it's not, Mr. Reyes, it's, he's my friend.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying. Is I think because of kind of who you were in your youth and who you are today, you're very relatable.
Yeah.
Some attorneys walk in the room and you feel like they're unapproachable because they carry themselves with some kind of ego, and you're very kind of down to earth in that way. So I'm sure that helps you with dealing with people. Another thing that you've done that I really think is great is your business has become quite a family affair.
Yeah.
You've got your sister-in-law basically as your case manager. I know you have your wife. She does, I don't know if it's marketing or.
My wife does, she helps on the demand side and on the case manager side.
There's a new puppy that I've seen running around.
The brand new mascot, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then a great staff. I know Gigi and Lindsay and
now we have Sandra and we have Nicole working from home.
Man, you're an army already.
So, and then I have a few other people working outside. I have 10 other staff members out working somewhere else.
Aside from those people you just
Aside
named?
from those people, yeah.
Are they all on payroll?
Yeah, they're on payrolls. But because I've segmented my business to the point that, some people do medical summaries, some people do, medical matrix, some people order records. So I have different outsource from different places.
Do you have anything in suit currently?
Yeah, I have maybe 12
Oh, wow.
cases or so in suit right now.
That's the thing, and I was just talking with Danny Alvarez earlier today, and we were discussing how personal injury is somewhat unique in that the difficulty to get trials in personal injury versus crime versus family law, some of these other things. I mean, you can zealously act to get trials, and it's near impossible oftentimes. Yeah. So,
well, actually, to your point, family law. Because when I first started, I had to do family law because I needed cash flow.
That, yeah.
And I got a lot of family law clients, and I was in court a lot.
It's a time suck, man.
It is. And I take my hat off. If I had a hat on right now, I would take my hat off to you because that is a hard thing. Not so much because of the court stuff. It's because the clients are draining.
Well, the clients and then the back office stuff I found too. Where with PI, you can staff out a lot of your stuff.
Yes.
This person, like you said, can order medical records. This person can prepare your demands. This person can, help with the client intake, that sort of thing. This person can, negotiate down bills and prepare closing statements. With family law, you can't have your paralegal write a motion for contempt because they aren't familiar with the law. They aren't familiar with the facts of the case. I mean, it's really it's kind of you've got to be doing a lot of it.
It's very time
consuming. So, well, that's 100% the thing, and that's always been the struggle that I've had with my personal injury practice. Is it's as I transition more into personal injury, with the amount of time I was spending with my family law stuff, it's just been a very slow evolution in that regard. So, I think you did it the right way. I mean, obviously, you were uniquely qualified based on your history and experience with the doctor's office, but I think of it and I wish that I would have gotten into it as soon as I left the state attorney's office back in 2005. Now you mentioned it and I wanted to ask you about it again. I know you were doing some criminal defense and some family law in the beginning. Are you doing much of that anymore?
No family at all.
Family, yeah.
Like they call me, I'm like,
here's a number. Yeah,
here's a number. Call this person. That's not my style.
Right.
Criminal, I make recommendations depending on the case. Depends on what the criminal case is. But my thing is definitely personal injury.
Right. So one of the things that you've told me, and it's something that I'm constantly struggling with, is time management. And I know that Monday through Thursday you're here, Fridays you're not here, and I have some understanding of what you're doing on Fridays. But then I think you told me, office time, 9 to 5, 8 to 5, I'm here or doing clients, but then after that I'm doing this, and then on weekends I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Have you always been adept at time management, or is that something that's kind of evolved over time?
I have an obsession. Let me go start there. When I started the clinic back in August of 2000. That's when I started the clinic.
Right.
I became obsessed with my business to the point. Time management has definitely gotten much better. I can tell you that. But I was so obsessed that I could not even take vacations and I couldn't do anything. I had to be at the office. I had to put in hundreds of hours every it was insane. I made a ton of money, and I helped a lot of people.
But your quality of life probably
Quality of life
suffered.
was horrible, horrible. It caused me to have problems with my relationship. It caused me, it's a whole bunch of issues that came through that. Now that I'm older, thank God my mind is better. Finally.
Yeah.
Now that I'm older, I realize I don't need all the material things that I thought I wanted when I was younger. Plus, it's important for me to take vacations now. My wife, I'm very grateful for her because she books the vacations. I'll never book them. She books it, and it's like, this is what we're going to do. So every 2, 3 months, we take a small little vacation. Twice a year, we take a bigger vacation. And that helps me tremendously. But I've learned through time of how to segment my time. Like Saturdays and Sundays, you mentioned Saturdays and Sundays. I'll do like 2, 3 hour blocks, and then I'll just do family stuff. Or I'll involve my family in a lot of my work stuff. So I've been integrated my family deeply into my work.
How many kids do you have?
Two.
Two, and one's 22. How old's the other one?
13. Well, I can say I have four now because my 22-year-old daughter has a boyfriend that's pretty much like my kid now. 'Cause
Uh-huh.
he's with us all the time.
Okay.
And then, of course, our new dog, which is
Okay.
like a
Yeah,
baby.
I was waiting for you to tell me you're a grandfather, and I was
no,
gonna have
no,
a heart
no,
attack.
no, no.
Not yet.
My daughter's smarter than I was.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and which, if you don't mind me asking, again, I don't want to divulge too much, but how you work your Fridays? Are Fridays just going out and marketing, or?
No, Fridays, because Monday through Thursday, I meet with clients all day long, for the most part. And I'm on client calls, whatever. Fridays, today I'm going to an event, but typically on Fridays, I don't even get dressed up. I put shorts on. I had a bad day shirt on because I'm constantly branding. And I go to Starbucks or Panera Bread. And actually today, I didn't go to Starbucks. I went to First Watch. And I sat there and I just started working on litigation files. So Friday is my focus day because I don't have nobody calling me. I put my phone away and I can just work on actual work stuff.
And then nighttime was that for emails or
Yeah,
doing your social media, or?
Yeah, nighttime is when I do most of my like creative stuff, the fun stuff I can say.
Yeah, yeah.
And then on the weekends too, so Sundays as well, and Saturdays too. That stuff is fun for me.
Well, it's impressive, and to see kind of the organization and how it's kind of manifested in such a successful practice so early on is inspiring to not only new attorneys, but not that I'm old, but older as far as my time in the practice. So you kind of touched on it there, but do you, aside from vacations and working, what are you spending your time on? Personal life, hobbies, that sort of thing.
Life.
I know you work out pretty. When
Yeah.
you first started here, you were making your own lunches, and I was feeling bad about myself for that reason too. I don't know if that's tailed off a little bit, but
a lot because it's hard. Listen.
Tell me, look at me. I was spry.
It's hard.
20 years ago, I was fit, and now it's not.
I can listen. I know this stuff is difficult. Like it's stressful mentally.
Right.
When I go home, I don't want to work out.
Right.
I try to work out still 2-3 times a week. If I for sure I work out Saturday and Sunday for sure. Try to do Friday, and I try to do some days during the week. I have a full gym in my house too, and I just when I get home, I don't want to do it. But I like to read. It's kind of weird. Like my wife says I'm always working, and I guess to the public eye I'm always working. But I like to read in the book. The books I like to read are business books, motivational book, business books, and I like that. That's like my decompression time. Some people they do that for work, but I actually enjoy that. And of course, spend time with my family, my kids, and everything else.
Where do you think your drive comes from? I mean, I'm a big believer in, our outward self being a reflection of our inward self. So, do you think you're trying to prove something to yourself? Are you trying to prove something to other people? Is it trying to live a different life than, what is it that...
I would say it's all of the above, and I'll tell you. My drive comes from, because going back to saying my daughter, she's 22 years old. When I was younger, I did things that, things that you shouldn't necessarily be doing, whatever the case is. I still always wanted to make money. I still always wanted to do certain things. But once my daughter was born, it was a kick in the ass. I said, you know what? I have to grow. I have to be a man now. Instead of running away from the problem, my dad, my real dad, wasn't the best, cool friend, not, to talk to, very, very charismatic, stuff like that. But as a father, not so much. So for me, it's, you can say daddy issues, I would say, but it was more that I needed to do better. I needed to do better for my family and do better for my kids. So that was a kick. and that caused me like it was like a chain reaction. So I started working like at a service merchandise. I worked at the bank, and I would move up really, really quickly in those companies. The problem was is that I'm headstrong, and then so if somebody tried to stop me, this is like learn quickly how corporate America works. If somebody tried to stop me, I would go over their head and go over their head and go over their head, and then
Well, I've heard
that
you say this in various different contexts, but the worst thing you can say to Eddie is no, or you can't do that, because that's going to be
yeah
the quickest way for him to show you that he can.
yeah that's actually like look, two things: being ignored and being talked down to. Those
Yeah,
two things are, if you want to get my attention,
that's the best way to
that's
do it.
the best way to do it. And it's funny because, and I'll go back to this, but when I'm in court or whatever, some of these attorneys, they try to do this, like try to do a scare tactic. They have no idea that that's my. Now I'm like, really? Oh, now I'm like, oh, really?
They just stepped in the bear trap.
They have no idea what they walk themselves into.
Yeah.
They can get so much better, more if they were nice, but it doesn't work the other way around. In
Has
fact,
that always been that way with you, or is that something you developed over time?
always been that way.
Yeah.
Ever since I've been little. And actually, it's actually gone, well, I would say it's a little bit tapered down. Before it was really bad when
Well,
I was
you'd
younger.
probably knock him out before.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
And I actually we get suspended multiple times.
Yeah.
And I had to restart seventh grade. And it was a long story there. But so for me, I wanted to do better. I want to be somebody that my kids can look up to and say, you know what? I'm proud of my dad. I'm proud of so, and I can say, even though they might say I'm always working, even though they're integrating the work, my oldest daughter wants to go to law school. My wife now, she wants to go to law school. My youngest wants to go to college and she wants to be a doctor. So they're still seeing what we're doing, and they can enjoy the fruits of my labor now. And now I actually take, like I said, vacations now. And when I'm there, I'm trying to be there at presently if I can. But yeah, I mean, honestly, me being a dad younger in my life was the switch for me to say, you know what, I have to do better.
And that's impressive because, as me doing family law, I see the opposite
Me too.
version of that story a lot. Now, are you the only attorney in the family?
Yes, at the moment, yeah.
So has it been your experience now that you're the attorney for everybody in the family?
Everybody has a question. Everybody, it's funny because people they think they're attorneys, and then they talk to me and they're like, "Well, that doesn't sound right," but they come to me for everything now.
Yeah, well, it's funny because people call me up. They have a real estate problem. They have a
I know.
bankruptcy problem. They have an immigration problem. They have this it's like calling a foot doctor and asking them how, about your heart health. It's very different.
Ain't that the truth?
How do you find that you're dealing with the stress, or are you feeling stress? Are you feeling anxiety? How do you deal with it? That's something that has always been a big part of my practice because I consider myself a pretty empathetic person, which is a good thing. But in this area of law, it's very easy to kind of get sucked into a rabbit hole of emotion, caring about all these cases and trying to do what's best, and it can really affect you. Has that been in your experience so far?
Yeah.
And
Well, especially when I first started.
Right.
When I first started, I had retail therapy, and that only lasts for like a day.
Yeah.
And now the biggest thing for me is working out, honestly.
Yeah. Well, that's good because there's been long stretches in my career where it's really kind of weighed me down. I think I'm at a good point right now, but that's
Well,
awesome.
and that's why attorneys drink, and that's why attorneys do drugs, and because they're trying to cope with the stress. Because people, listen, I know my slogan's had a bad day, but people really do come with bad days all day long.
Yeah.
And that's taxing.
Well, it's true. You get to see people in worse positions than you're in, and it does give you some perspective on your life. So, well, before we wrap up, where can people find you? I know you've got 20 different places that people can find you online. Website, IG.
So website is the Reyes Firm, REYES. The REYES firm.com. I have a new number now. It's 8334 bad day.
That's awesome.
And easy to remember. And of course, IG Edward Reyes, Facebook Reyes Options. If you just type in my name or whatever, I'll probably pop up. I'm probably in your feed already. I don't know.
Right. Well, you have a good bit of followers. I tried to do what you and Camerino did, and I just started friending everybody. Well, I don't know that that's how you did it, but I started friending everybody on Facebook, and all of a sudden I had all these private messages asking me to send like $50,000 to Slovakia, or it was like maybe I should have been a little bit better about curating who it was that I had following me. And then I know we're talking about it. I don't think we've set it up yet, but was it some sort of client appreciation or some sort of thing that we're looking at doing?
I wanted to start doing that this year for sure. And I have a whole new things that I want to do this year that I didn't do that last year, because it's, running a law firm, and you know this, and being an attorney at the same time is actually kind of difficult.
Oh, it's you.
You know,
You only have so much time in the day. There's only so much of yourself that you can devote to things, and the more that goes to one part, the less or the more you're taking away from something else. So
yeah.
it's hard to do both.
And I've been trying to systemize, and I have everything down to departments and everything else, but even then, it's still time consuming. So certain things take priority over other things, and I will have the event. I just need to find the time to sit down and actually plan it out.
Well, as they say, Rome wasn't built in a day, but
Yeah.
you're building Rome pretty quickly. So you know, you deserve credit for that. Well,
Thank you.
thank you for coming on the show today. Finally got you to walk the 15 feet across the hallway and come
Yeah,
over
yeah,
and visit
yeah.
with me. Take it easy, Eddie.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, bye bye.